Welcome to Sports Buds Hockey Podcast, where two friends come together to discuss all things hockey and where everyone's opinion is appreciated. Please welcome your hosts, Merrick and Collin Simpson.
Hello and welcome back to Sports Buds Hockey Podcast. So this is going to be our quarterfinal preview for Team Canada. So with me as always, Collin Simpson.
How's it going, Mav? Happy holidays.
Oh, fantastic times. Good tournament. Great time to spend with family. It was a really good, really eventful yet not eventful. So it was good. Not a lot of illness, but a little bit. Not a lot of flus or colds or any of that, but some good food, some good family. How about you?
Yeah, we had some relatives in for the holidays. Had a great little Christmas. Unfortunately, we've all kind of been bit by a little bit of sickness after that. But so I've had to actually miss a few of the games of the tournament so far. But I did catch the Canada-Finland game kickoff on the 26th. And I caught most of the New Year's Eve game with the U.S. But I've been keeping up on everything going on. So really interested to chat about it.
It should be good. You know, it's been I would say obviously an up and down tournament for Canada. They got a couple of wins, couple of losses, so obviously not the expectation or maybe the goal for them. But I think they've shown a lot of good things, but they've also shown a lot of bad. So, what did you think about you said you caught the Finland game. So, what did you think when they're coming out firing on that one?
Well, and exactly that. We did come out firing right in the beginning. I think the first two periods was Team Canada hockey. I think they're feeding off the energy of being the home team, just the excitement of getting the tournament going. I felt like we dominated the first two periods. You know, I think maybe we're up a goal or two at that point. I feel like the third, we kind of got gassed out or, feeding off that energy we got from the excitement in the beginning kind of went away. And Finland came back quite a bit. They didn't get any goals, but they actually held the play for most of the third, in my opinion. Or either that or Canada just took the foot off the pedal. But either way, it made it look a lot closer at the end, but I think that was a pretty dominating performance from Canada.
Yeah, really good start. And like you said, it definitely was a closer third period than it was the rest of the game. So then next up would have been, of course, Latvia.
Yeah, I didn't see this. I got to see the highlights of kind of what happened, so I don't know exactly how the play went out. I'm assuming we probably still held the play. I guess this leads us into probably the biggest factor of this tournament so far and the most controversial part for Canada is the fact with the lack of scoring from this team. They did go with their backup goalie, I believe, in that one.
Yeah, that's right.
But he still played all right. He had a decent save percentage. Only allowed 3 goals, lots of shots against.
2 goals.
2 goals. But like the fact is, we still just should be putting away a team like Latvia. We should have the scoring power to be 5-6 on a team like Latvia, just like the Americans are doing. And when you don't do that, you allow teams like that to stick in it, and it cost us.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing. There was a stat during the America game that showed the shooters, the forwards right now for Canada at that point. So this is a couple of games after, obviously Latvia, but they were shooting 5% rather than a standard kind of 15, 12 to 15 sort of is what they were averaging, regular season or when they're back with their regular clubs. So to see such a drop, and I mean, the Latvia game was a good example of that, where you had 54 shots, 53 shots, whatever it was, and you got 2 goals. You guys, they were firing rubber at the net, but were they just ripping it from the blue line with no screens? Were they not in the right places? Did they just not have the finish? I mean, at the same time, that wasn't shot attempts. That was actual shots that they put. That was actual saves by the goalie. And it's really, without being able to put a few more past them, that's a big issue.
No, for sure. And that's part of the problem is we're getting scoring chances. And I think you brought up a good point is the scoring percentage, because it's not like there's no offense in the sense of chances. Like, I don't want to jump too far ahead to the American game, but I believe there was 2 games total, in my opinion, the American game and this Latvia game, where we were just out goalied. I felt like we actually played better than the team, but the other goalie outperformed our goalie. But the fact is, even if you get pucks on net, it could be, like you said, the Daryl Sutter style of just throw everything on there. But still, skilled players score. You don't take away insanely skilled scorers. You don't give Ovechkin 55 shots and he gets 1 goal. You know what I mean? So it says something about the actual capability of some of these goal scorers and whether they can come through when it's actually needed.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a pin in one of your comment about being out goalied as we keep moving through the games. So the next one was Germany. So they won 3-0, back to it. Team Canada. Again, I thought this one was really even. With Latvia, I thought that Canada held the play and just wasn't scoring. With this one, I thought it was pretty even. They were just getting the goals when they had those chances. They were out shooting them, but it was just holding the play. The Germans were standing up. They were big and tough. It seemed they were hitting back as much as they were getting hit. It was a pretty even game all around. They had a little bit more time in the zone. Canada did, but overall, I think it was a pretty even game for a lot of it.
Just like so many games, I feel like when we play Germany, whether it be in this Spangler Cup, and then there's always the running joke that, that's because 80% of the German team are Canadians. The fact is, we always have really tight games with them. And I didn't see the game itself, but I did keep an eye on the score. And I think I flipped down at my phone and I saw like we were only up 1-0 either at the end of the second or going into the third. So obviously it was a close game, a game that, they did take the win, which is important to get the points, but it's not showing any real dominance against teams that they still should. I know the places are getting much closer in skill, but those type of teams getting closer in skill should be your Slovakia, Czechia, Germany should still be well behind in it. It's really frustrating sometimes to watch that we're still not beating teams like that
Well, that's
easily.
it. Germany had to win today to avoid relegation. So I mean that's a game you need to win and you need to dominate.
For sure.
So that brings us to Canada US on New Year's Eve. Um, for this one for me, this was a game that Canada showed up for, and I think they were intense. I think they were maybe wound a little tight, but they played well. I don't know that it was out goalied, but they just, I mean, really, when it came down to it, they would have created the opportunities. They would have done what they needed to do to finish. They would have gotten the chances they needed to finish and get the win if they hadn't given up eight power plays. I mean, they for all it's worth, to just constantly you're in their zone, you're building momentum. The next shift builds on that momentum. You keep going, and you just even when you're rolling the lines and stuff while keeping it in their zone and just getting more chances. Those are the things. That's when you're going to get the goals. That's when it's going to happen. And instead, they'd roll it and it'd start going, and then boom, take another penalty, going again, and then you're hauling somebody down or cross-checking somebody in front of the opposite net, or all these things, and hitting somebody late in the neutral zone. Like, why are you doing that? Like, it cost the team.
Yeah, for sure. One word, composure. They lost it. They didn't have it during the game. They do get sometimes too amped up to play the US. And I feel like the US gets amped up as well. You saw a lot of the emotions, a lot of the talk about Eiserman's celebration after. But yeah, and when I talk about being out goalied, I guess we're looking at statistics, especially there, like 37 saves, 38 saves for Trey Augustine.
Yep.
So when you make 12, 14 more saves, and I feel like the Americans had a ton more power plays. So, you know, maybe Carter George, who, don't get me wrong, if I was to say, let's pick a top player for Canada right now, that's my top player. And
Yeah.
it's by a landslide. Yeah, like they had chances, and like you said, just you couldn't keep momentum going. And again, that's exciting. And again, though, you still come down to you can't score. So we're talking about statistics and not scoring. I just looked up earlier today. So the leading scorer for Canada is Easton Cowan, right? 3 points going into the quarterfinals. That sits him at 37th in the tournament. The top Canadian forward is 37th in points.
Yeah.
That's not good enough. Now, it may be still, we got a quarterfinal, and we'll be speaking about it here soon. You don't know what's going to happen, and they're still in a chance to win, but like they should have gave themselves an easier game by taking at least one more of these games and hopping Finland to have been playing Slovakia than a Czechia team that looks much stronger.
Yeah. Well, and you look, I mean, they won 4-0, they lost 3-2, they won 3-0, they lost 4-1. So you're looking at 10 goals, right? 10 goals in this tournament, and at least two, I think, are empty netters. So you're looking at 8 goals. That's not enough. You're not going to score averaging 2 goals a game in this, when you do have teams that you need to be able to, that you should completely outdo, completely outperform. And I know that they're all good teams and they're all really good hockey players. It's 100%. Every kid on Kazakhstan is an amazing hockey player. That's without question. But it's just, what do you expect? It's, what do you think is going to happen? And so, yeah, to come in and have, realistically eight or maybe 10 goals if you include empty netters, that's just not enough. And so, we did a pretty good preview before this whole thing started, and talking about who was going to be there and some of the late additions, and some of the late additions that we looked at were scorers. These are guys that were going to come in and we're going to drive the play, drive the net, and really they were there to put the puck in the net. And I mean, now you look at it and think, we talked about it before. Is this going to be something that's going to backfire if they don't do well? And I mean, I don't know if we're there yet or not, but we might be.
Yep. We did talk about some prolific scorers like this Beckett Seneke kid who's got like almost 2 points per game, scoring at will. Now, obviously, everything's going to be hindsight. We don't know whether this will even matter. We've had other years in the past where there's been so much talk about how bad the team was in this group stage, and then they come out and win the tournament.
Yep.
So we don't know. But again, it's not promising. You're a +3 goal differential, 10 goals. You should have 10 goals, 5 against Latvia, 5 against Germany, in my opinion. The team you're about to play as we move into kind of their quarterfinal matchup is a +16. Like, that's a major difference, because like you might be a defensive team, fair enough, but then your goal differential should still be there. Even if you're going to get 10, only allow 2, 3 maybe. But if you're going to allow 7, you got to put in more than 10. Otherwise, you're going to put yourself in situations where teams that shouldn't have taken points from you take them, and sits you in a situation where you could have been playing a Slovakia team who had won 1 game. Oh, sorry, they got a second overtime win, who goal differential was a -3. Instead, you're playing a team who only lost to Sweden and has a +16 goal differential. And that's what you get for your quarterfinal.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's going to be a big difference. I really do feel, though, that in looking at this, in looking at the U.S. game, they were out shooting them, and I mean, by a wide margin. And then they got a penalty. And then they, held it, didn't let them score, started driving play again, started getting more shots again, started turning that play, and then got another penalty. Like, it was over and over to watch that same thing happen. I really don't think that they were outplayed. It wasn't a 4-1 beating. It wasn't, anything like that. But I mean, they lost, and they lost, 4-1. I mean, it still matters. But it didn't get completely smoked either. So now that we're here, yeah, what does that look like? Is Czechia really going to be as good as it seems? I mean, Czechia would have wins over Slovakia, Switzerland, and Kazakhstan. All doable, all, teams that they should be able to beat. But Canada should have easily beat Latvia and Germany. Should have really held their own with Finland and the U.S. They obviously beat Finland, they did in the U.S. So Canada's right in the middle, but lower than where they should have been, and not taking care of what they should have done. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. We got to see what's going to come up. I mean, so I guess at this point, we want to see, what do you think? Are we going to see a semifinal game for Canada?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I think Czechia can sometimes be underestimated, but I think, as we usually do on home ice, we tend to play our best hockey in those type of tournaments. I believe that we will win this game. I think it's going to be emotional. I'm hoping that because of the American game, they've had a chance to talk with the coaches and to teach these kids to understand how to keep their emotions in check. So they've already been through that once now, and hopefully keep enough composure. But I do believe it's going to be close, and I do believe we're going to win in overtime.
Wow, all the way to overtime. I'm thinking 3-2, and I am also thinking Canada will do what they need to do. I think that they should have and could have, absolutely could have won that game against the U.S. Obviously, we can talk about Latvia forever, but I think they should have won the game against the U.S. I think they outplayed them for a lot of it, and got themselves in trouble. So I think they are playing well. They just had some issues. So if they tighten those up, then I think, yeah, we'll see that happen, and we'll see them. But I think it will be a close game because Czechia's a good team. So I think we'll see 3-2, and it'll be, a complete flurry around the net and everybody looking for a stress ball or something to squeeze for the last probably 10 minutes of the third period.
No, for sure, it should be a nail biter. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So what we'll do, Sims, why don't we make a plan? We'll come back and we'll talk about this. And with all our good fortune and all our prognosticating, we will decide that we're going to come back tomorrow and we'll do a semifinal preview for everybody, and we'll get that out and see who Canada's going to play in the semifinals. So we'll wish them the best of luck and we'll hope we'll be back for that. If not, what we'll do is we'll maybe plan on coming back and doing the whole second guessing thing and deciding who we would have picked instead.
Sounds good. Looking forward to the game.
Awesome. All right. Thank you all for listening. Hopefully we're right and Canada moves on. Don't forget to subscribe and download all the episodes. We're all available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Or you can also find us at www.sportsbuds.com. And we'll see you soon, and go Canada.
There we go.